In Nigeria, only 47% of people have access to water, and only 30% of people in rural areas have access. The little water available causes 335,000 children to die each year from waterborne illnesses. We want to inspire people to maintain an effective infrastructure that will provide all Nigerians with clean water and sanitation services.
The first component for our project is building water infrastructure.
Our project Water for Nigeria works to provide water and sanitation services to the people of Nigeria. In order to do this, the right infrastructure must be set in place. Our infrastructure strives to be easy to maintain and intuitive to use. We will go from town to town and assess which type of infrastructure will be best suited for the community. We will place each water source in a central area in the towns. Doing this will enhance community access. The types of infrastructure that we're going to be implementing will be gravity-fed water networks, hand-dug wells, and hand pumps. Gravity-fed water networks are sourced from small upland river, stream, or spring. They provide sustainable water that does not require treatment. They're very reliable and low cost. Hand-dug wells are the most common way that people obtain groundwater. Unfortunately, they can only be used in specific areas because it's necessary for the land to be soft for ease of digging. Hand-dug wells represent another sustainable form of water collection. The water replenishes itself during periods of non-use. The use of hand pumps is another common way that people access groundwater. Hand pumps work by creating vacuum that draws water from underground water tables. Hand pumps require more of an initial cost to set up than traditional hand-dug wells, but hand pumps are much superior. Because hand pumps do not present an open face of water, they are much less susceptible to contamination. There are also a lot of risks with implementing this infrastructure in Nigeria. Violence is a big risk. Because Nigeria is composed of over 250 distinct ethnic groups and many are engaged in armed conflict, violence is often very common. Because water is a valuable resource, we must be careful as to where we place the infrastructure. We will mainly focus on providing water to areas that experience relatively little conflict. Dependency is another risk. If the people using the infrastructure become completely dependent on it, they will become very vulnerable if it ever fails. To lessen this risk, we will teach people in the communities that we serve how to maintain the infrastructure that we set into place.
The next component of our organization is waste management and sanitation, with the goal of disposing of solid waste generated by the Nigerian population in the most efficient way possible. Doing this also requires proper cleaning so diseases don't spread. We will set up community-managed latrines that allow whole villages to be served while maintaining a low cost per latrine. This allows proper waste disposal to reach the poorest citizens in high-density places who are traditionally excluded from sanitation projects. Next, we will install hand-washing devices on site near each latrine, which will lessen the risk of bacteria spreading from the close contact of waste. The low-cost and easily manageable device used is called a tippy tap, which is a plastic bottle suspended on a Y-shaped stick with soap attached. It can be tipped to pour out water without touching or contaminating the bottle. A risk associated with such projects is poor community organization and lack of commitment, which can lead to conflict between the local people. To offset this, community building through accountability and responsibility should be stressed.
Once we have built the infrastructure needed, Water for Nigeria will focus on educating people on how to protect their water and their health through community-based classes. First, we will emphasize maintaining waste and water systems. Once these systems have been put into place, it is important that people know how to properly maintain them in order to allow for long-term sustainability and reliability. This information, such as preventing contamination in wells, can help communities preserve their clean water for many years. Hygiene is another very important focus, as poor hygiene allows for the fast spreading of water-related diseases. In order to keep water clean and people healthy, 2 rules must be taught. First, stop open defecation or defecating outside of a designated toilet, a huge factor in the lack of sanitation in Nigeria. With both the lack of proper waste management and a culture that does not emphasize the importance of good hygiene, it is no surprise that open defecation is prevalent in Nigeria. But this threatens the health of young children who crawl on or touch the ground. When the bacteria is ingested, it causes many diseases, mainly diarrhea and intestinal worm infections, which subsequently cause many deaths among the young. Second, we will teach to wash your hands. When hands are not washed, harmful bacteria can be easily spread through touching and then eating food, allowing this bacteria to be easily spread to a family or village. By educating people on the importance of good hygiene through the newly built sanitation infrastructure, the risk of diarrhea and other water-related diseases could be cut in half, saving hundreds of children's lives every day.
In order to evaluate how successful we were, we can measure the number of occurrences of waterborne illnesses. These should now have decreased due to our intervention. Also, there should be more households now that have access to water. Finally, we can measure the level of hygiene that is in the area, as people should now be able to properly dispose of waste and also clean themselves, improving hygiene and sanitation.
Water for Nigeria dedicates 40% of their budget towards water systems, 35% towards sanitation, and 25% towards hygiene education. Some of the average costs for our water projects are as follows. Gravity-fed water networks are estimated to cost about $8,000 each. Our hand-dug wells with hand pumps will cost $5,000 each, which serves an average of 500 people. Additionally, the borehole wells with hand pumps are $15,000 each, serving 1,000 people. The estimated cost of a 6-seater latron is roughly about $4,000 each. Lastly, the construction costs of the tippy tap are in the range of $0 if second-hand materials are used, or $2 to $4 if new materials are purchased.
With this plan of action, Water for Nigeria hopes to provide a strong foundation for the Nigerian people to build from.
One day, there will be an effective water and waste management system that will provide for everyone in this country.